Okay, now let's take a look at who these Jains are. Where are these Jains located in the world or in India? Right? So the last census that was taken in India was in 2011. So by that number, the number of Jains that called themselves Jains in that census was 4,451,753. That is less than 5 million Jains in India. Now, what happens is Jains, many times when they are being counted in the census activities, they call themselves Hindus. Many Jains, especially in Gujarat and other areas of India. But most Jains, you may be surprised to know, are, even though Gujarat and Rajasthan are associated, they have this stereotypical image of that there are more Jains in Rajasthan and Gujarat, but Maharashtra outnumbered Gujarat and Rajasthan with more than 1 million Jains in Maharashtra. Rajasthan came second, 100,000. Then Madhya Pradesh third, then Gujarat, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, and Delhi, then Tamil Nadu, Haryana, Chhattisgarh, and even West Bengal. These are the states. So primarily Jains are in western and central region of India, western central states of India. That is Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat, and Karnataka if you want to add Karnataka. So top 5 states where Jains are found, Jains are present, are Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Karnataka. That's within India. What about outside India? Now, because of the Indian diaspora, Jains are today also flourishing in the United States of America and Canada. So in North America, there are at least 100 large, exquisite temples across North America, in New York and California, Dallas, Texas, where I've spent many years, Dallas and New Jersey also. So Jains temples you'll find everywhere, all across North America. Then you'll find Jains in Kenya, in Africa, where because of how Jain ascetics, they reached, for example, Kanji Swami community, Digambar community, they reached Africa and they constructed a grand temple in Kenya. So there are Jains in Kenya. In Europe, Jain temples you'll find in United Kingdom, that is England, and also in Belgium, in Antwerp, Belgium. Why in Antwerp, Belgium? Because Antwerp is known as the diamond capital of Europe. Within Europe, Antwerp is the largest city where diamond traders are found. Now, Jains have been the leading traders of diamonds for millennia. They have this almost like dominance in diamond trading, at least within India. Jewish people and Jain people. So because of that, Jains reached Antwerp also. So many Jains settled in Antwerp, in Belgium. So you find an exquisite Jain temple in Antwerp, Belgium. Then you'll find similarly Jain traders in Thailand, in Bangkok. When I went to Bangkok, I found a couple of Jain temples, Digambar and Shwetambar, separate temples, small temples in Thailand, Bangkok also. You'll find Jains also in Japan, in Hong Kong, and basically in Australia, but a very small temple. So this is a Jain diaspora in North America, Belgium and England, in Thailand and Japan, and of course Nepal has a Jain temple where Digambar and Shwetambar, both sects have combined and created one Jain temple, which is in Kathmandu. All right, that's the Jains, how Jains are located across the world and across India also I have mentioned. All right, now Jains in Indian religions. Native Jains are all over India, like I mentioned, North India, South India, East and West India also. Mahavir himself was in Bihar. There is a town in Bengal called Vardhaman, became Bardhaman in Bengal. That's all because of Vardhaman was the initial name of Mahavir before he renounced his family and wealth. He was born as Vardhaman. So after that, there is a town in Bengal also, in West Bengal. Then Jain communities form a network. You'll find these Jain networks of traders and merchants and so on across India, especially in Gujarat and Maharashtra and Karnataka, Punjab, Rajasthan and Gujarat. And they've revitalized themselves. So Jain, because of these ethnic networks, you'll find them involved in similar kind of trades and businesses, maybe groceries, maybe finance, maybe textile and so on, because of these enrichment within community across these regions of India and beyond India. You'll find Jains of all kinds, of all varnas and castes, Rajputs, Dalits, Brahmins, farmers, and even non-Indian foreigners who became Jains out of their own volition. I'll give you some examples. Non-Indians as Jains. Who are these non-Indians who became Jains? Acharya Pushpadant mentions Kshatrap Nahapana, the Greek warrior leader who became Jain after Alexander went back to Greece, some of his people who were left behind became Jains. Some Mathura installers had non-Indian names. In Mathura, there are a lot of excavations have been done, archaeological research has been done, and they have found non-Indian names as part of the Jain findings that they found in Mathura. Mahavans mentions Jain monks in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka also Jain monks are mentioned. Then Yapaniya Sangha, which was the third sect of Jainism, which eventually merged with two other sects of Jainism, that is Digambar and Shwetambar. Yapaniya Sangha is mentioned in Konkan coast, and they are written as Yavaniya. Now Yavaniya, Yavan usually is equated with Greeks. So is Yapaniya and Yavan have any connection? That's a speculation that we have to explore further. It may imply Indo-Greek community, which became part of Jain Sangha, Jain community. Now there are few American Jains, non-Indian American Jains living at present in United States. So because as Jain monks reached there in 1980s, Sushil Muni, a Sthanakvasi, a non-image worshipping Shwetambar, white-clad monk, when he reached America, he influenced, or some Caucasian Americans were influenced by Sushil Muni, and they became his disciples. So those are non-Indian Jains even today in America, and many such examples are there. All right, now I just mentioned Alexander, but Alexander, when he reached India in 326 BCE, Alexander reached near Takshashila, or spelled Taxila, Taxila in English, or Takshashila in Indian language. When he reaches that part of what now we know as probably Afghanistan region, Pakistan-Afghanistan border, but it was all Indian empire, Indian land, Indian civilization. So Greek texts mention this. On the appearance of Alexander, these venerable men gave no other sign of interest. Who are these venerable men? Most likely they were Jain monks, which Greeks called them as gymnosophists. So Alexander asked these gymnosophists, these venerable men, what they meant by this. What are they doing? So gymnosophists replied, these Jain monks replied, Jain ascetics replied, King Alexander, every man can possess only so much of the earth's surface as this we are standing on. You are but human like the rest of us. So what is the point of conquering the world? Basically, they are making fun of Alexander's world conquering mission and saying, what a waste of your life. You're doing these things, but you will go empty-handed. And Alexander died empty-handed. There's this proverb, there's an idiom in English now. Alexander died empty-handed. Gymnosophists rebuked him, told him, don't waste your life in conquering the world because you will die empty-handed. That is the conversation recorded in Greek literature, in Greek historical literature. Alexander then was impressed by gymnosophists so much that he invited these sages to join him, but their leader, these gymnosophists, these Jain monks, leader most likely Jain monks, or could be Hindu monks also, but speculatively, if we think that they were Jain monks, their leader Dandami refused and sharply criticized Calenus, who accepted the invitation. So Calenus, as mentioned in Greek literature, joins Alexander's army, and he goes back to Greece, where he shares Indian philosophy, Jain philosophy, and that influences Greek philosophy. So there was a lot of give and take between Greek philosophy and Indian philosophy, and Jainism played an important role in this interaction of Greeks and Indians, Greek philosophy and Indian philosophy. There are books and books written on this fascinating exchange of ideas. So first global exchange of ideas did not take place after 19th century, 20th century, or by internet. It happened more than 2,000 years back when Alexander came to India, and Indian scholars such as Calenus reached Greece with Alexander, and they exchanged all these ideas, and Jains played a great role. So gymnosophist simply means naked philosopher, literally means naked philosophers. Most likely they could be Jain philosophers. So that was the brief encounter between Alexander and gymnosophists. Now, there are speculations, at least, that Pythagoras, whose name we equate with right angle theorem, right? He lived from 580 to 500 BCE. Many of his ideas seem very similar to Jain ideas. he practiced vegetarianism. He believed in reincarnation, that is transmigration of soul, punarjan, and spiritual progress. And many scholars speculate that he must have visited India and may have learned these ideas from India, including his mathematical idea. And then he later gave this theorem, and now world knows that theorem as Pythagoras theorem. But ancient Indian mathematics scholars already knew these ideas. Jain scholars were extremely advanced in mathematical ideas. And so there was again this exchange of ideas between Jain scholars, Indian scholars largely speaking, and they may have influenced Pythagoras. All right, next. So next, let's take a look at the origin of Mahavir, or even before Mahavir, when we find first concrete evidence of origin of Jain community, archaeological evidences and historical evidence. So Mahavir, like I said in the beginning, he was a contemporary of the Buddha. They both, Mahavir and the Buddha, accepted the Vedic ideas of liberation, moksha, from the cycle of rebirth and karma, but they rejected rituals being violent because animal sacrifices were going on in Vedic sacrifices at that time. So both Buddha and Mahavir rejected those animal sacrifices. They also rejected the authority of Brahmins, right? Because Brahmin, the priestly class, they did not accept their authority either. And Mahavir especially, Jainism especially, adopted a lot of warrior terms, heroic terms, such as Shramana, like I mentioned, highlighting one's own efforts, Shrama. Another key term, Gana or Ganadhar. Gana means group of warriors in traditional Sanskrit. But here in Jainism, Ganadhar becomes the head of the group of disciples. So Gana is simply group of non-violent Jain disciples, not army here, right? These non-violent disciples, and their leader is called as Ganadhara. So Mahavir had almost 12 Ganadhara, the leader of disciples. Then Sangha, the Kula, or the congregation or the community of ascetics or community of lay people. And Mahavir itself sounds like a warrior term, right? Mahavir is a great warrior, but here the warrior is conquering himself, not external armies. And other terms already discussed, Tirtha and Tirthankar, the bridge and the bridge builder, ford and ford maker. We discussed that already. All right, now then let's discuss Jain's cycle of time. So I was mentioning this cosmic cycle within Jainism is an infinite cycle. Universe is infinite, time is also infinite. Time is eternal, universe is also eternal. So Jain cosmic wheel of time, it goes from most ideal time to most immoral and corrupt time, almost like Kali Yuga in Hindu terminology, we use the term Kali Yuga. So in Jainism also, the most ideal, most moral time turns into most immoral time. But the cycle then turns, and from most immoral times, it becomes again the most ideal time. This is the Jain cosmic wheel of time that has been going on forever. It never started, it will never stop. It's an infinite cosmic wheel of time. Now, when it comes down, when it turns from positive to negative, it's called as Avasarpini. Ava means to go down. Sarpini, like almost like a serpent. Serpent going down, Avasarpini. The half cycle of increasing sorrow. Sorrow is increasing, immorality is increasing, dharma is declining. Avasarpini, dharma is declining, avas means going down. Then Utsarpini. From the second half is Utsarpini. Ut means going up. Right? Avanati and Unnati, similar words in Sanskrit. Here Avasarpini and Utsarpini. Avanati, Unnati. Unnati means half cycle of increasing happiness. Utsarpini, where the happiness, the morality, the dharma is once again increasing, and it reaches its pinnacle, the most ideal time, most moral time. So this has been happening from infinity, and it will keep happening until infinity. All right. So now these first half is divided into 6 time periods. Second half is also divided into 6 time periods. Now each time period, each of these 6 or total 12, each of these 12 time periods are called as Ara. Ara might have given us the English word era, right? Era can run for millions of years. Ara also runs for millions of years. Ara is the Jain term, A-R-A, Ara. So first Ara is called as Susam, Susam, ideal, ideal, double ideal. Second Ara is called as single Susam. So that ideal has decreased, and it is now only singly ideal. Now third Ara is Susam Dusam, from ideal to non-ideal, right? From good times to bad times have now started appearing. Fourth ara is called as Dusam Susam. Now, negativity dominates positivity. So, Dusam and Susam, in which 24 Tirthankaras also start appearing on the earth. Fifth ara is called as Dusam only Dusam, the single word Dusam. So, all positivity has now disappeared. It's all negativity in this society, in this world. Dusam. The current era of modern times. We are living in the time of Dusam. That is called as the Pancham ara or fifth ara. Pancham Kal, traditionally called as Pancham Kal, that is fifth ara. Sixth ara, after some few thousands of years, we will enter sixth ara, which is Dusam Dusam, doubly negative. So this is the first time cycle of Avasarpini, serpent going down. Then starts the Utsarpini. So it transitions from Dusam Dusam to also Dusam Dusam. The first part of the Utsarpini is also Dusam Dusam. Then comes Dusam, less negative, single negative. Then Dusam Susam, positivity has started. Then Susam Dusam, positivity dominates negativity. Then Susam, only positive, single positive. And finally, Susam Susam. So, Susam Susam is the final in this Utsarpini, and Susam Susam is the first ara in the Avasarpini. So in the image, you can, as you look at the image, which will be shared with this course, you will see how this time period keeps going from positive to negative to positive. This is the Jain view of this cosmic wheel of time, which has been going on forever, and it will keep going on forever. All right, now let's go to next slide. Let's take a look at now. Let's take an overview at least of all Jain texts, all Jain scriptures. So Jain scriptures are, what are these scriptures? What are these Jain texts? They contain the statements by Mahavir, what Mahavir taught, the dialogues of Mahavir, the biographies of Mahavir and other Tirthankaras combined together become the Jain canon or the Jain sacred texts. Now, first set of texts that are part of the Jain canon are called as Purvas. Purvas means prior. They are all extinct because most likely they were the texts that were present prior to even Mahavir came. But unfortunately, those are all now extinct. They are all lost. Nobody has any access to Purvas. They're all gone. There were 14 Purvas, all gone, all extinct, all disappeared. Then come 12 Angas. Angas are like limbs of this, like body of text. If the text can be imagined as a body of sacred text, this body has 12 limbs, 12 Angas. They include Acharang Sutra, Acharang Sutra, then the Sutra Krita Anga, which examines false views, then doctrines, the Stanang, Samvayanga, Bhagavati Sutra, and Prashna Vyakaran. Then text that talk about laity, lay people, which includes Gyatra Dharma Katha, Upasak Dasha, Antakrida Dasha, Anuttar Upapit Dasha, and Vipaka Sutra. And finally, the 12th Anga is Drishtivad, which is also lost. Drishtivad is also lost. Then there are 34 Anga Bhayas, which includes 12 Upangas, 6 Cheda Sutras, 4 Mula Sutras, 10 Prakirnak Sutras, and 2 Chulika Sutras. Now, all the names of the texts that I mentioned so far, they are accepted only by Shvetambaras, the white-clad sect of Jainism, not by Digambaras. Digambaras believe that all texts were lost after Mahavir passed away, so they do not believe in any of these texts. These are only accepted by Shvetambaras, the white-clad people, white-clad sect of Jainism, Shvetambaras. Digambaras say that their acharyas wrote new commentaries based on Jain philosophy, and that are called as Drishtivad, Shatkhanda Agama, which was written in 1st century, first written Jain text of Digambar sect, written by Dharasena in 156 CE, 2nd century. Then commentary by Veer Sena, which is called as Dhavala, written in 8th century, 800 CE. Then Kashaya Prabhritta by Gunabhadra, commentary by Jinsena, called as Jaya Dhavala, written in 8th century, 820 CE. These are the texts that Digambars accept, not Shvetambaras. So there is this divide about the texts. Shvetambaras have their own set of texts. Digambaras have their own set of texts, and they rarely cross-reference each other. They are completely separate in terms of texts. All right. Now, so that was just a brief overview of the Jain sacred canon, Jain sacred texts. Now, let's take a little bit deeper look on these Tirthankaras or ford makers, like I mentioned in the beginning. So these ford makers or Tirthankaras are legendary teachers. They are not gods. They are not creators or destroyers of the universe. They are simply role models. These are the legendary teachers. First was Rishabh. So 24 Tirthankaras are accepted both by Digambaras and Shwetambaras. First one was Rishabh Dev or Rishabhnath or Adinath, Lord of Beginning. Adi means beginning, Adi to Ant, Ant means end. But Adinath, Lord of Beginning. Rishabh was the first socio-religious teacher. So before he became an ascetic, he was an emperor. As an emperor, what all he did in his lifetime as an emperor becomes a legendary, becomes highly respected by all Jains. So what Jains believe? Rishabh taught humans how to grow food, agriculture, how to cook food. Civilization started with cooking of food. How to kindle fire, how to use fire, how to do writing, how to have a family, marriage ceremony, how to donate for charity work, philanthropic work. These four social classes, now we equate Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, were also given by Rishabh. Many texts compare Rishabh with Shiva in Hinduism. Rishabh and Shiva are compared many times. They both are sort of householder ascetics, first householders, and then Rishabh becomes an ascetic. And Rishabh is also mentioned in the Vedas, like I talked about in the beginning. All right. Now, these Tirthankaras, these ford makers, are born in different sizes, different time periods, different lifespan. Initial first few Tirthankaras have this gigantic height, huge lifespan. They live for thousands of years, and so time periods are different. As we come to Mahavir's time span is only 72 years. Mahavir was on this planet, on this earth, for only 72 years. So his time span is pretty similar to now average lifespan across the world. But before that, before Mahavir, before Pash, the Tirthankaras lived for much longer time, and even their dimensions were much larger. Mahavir was of average human size, average human age, but before him were different sizes and different time periods. Also interesting feature of this Jain history. Some of the other key Tirthankaras, other key ford makers were Neminath, Shantinath, Anantnath, Parshvanath, and of course Mahavir. Mahavir and Parsh, we find some evidence, but before that it is largely mentioned in Jain traditional sources, but we don't really find archaeological evidence of previous Tirthankaras before Parshva. All right, now let's take a look at Parshva, the 23rd Tirthankar. So he lived from 8th century BCE, before Mahavir, before the Buddha. He was born in Varanasi, Banaras, Kashi. 250 years before Mahavir, he was born. He died at the age of 100. So he lived for only 100 years. And he attained his liberation, moksha, on Mount Sammet in North India, which is present-day Jharkhand, also called as Shikharji. It's a very popular, prominent pilgrimage place for both Digambar and Shwetambar. I've been also there at that pilgrimage center. And from Ranchi, one can go to this place called Shikharji or Parasnath or Parshvanath, Mount Sammet, Shikharji. In short, simply Shikharji. That's where Jains believe he attained his moksha. And many other Tirthankaras also are believed to have attained moksha from Sammet Shikhar in Jharkhand. Parshva followed only 4 vows, and Mahavir added the 5th vow of celibacy. So Parshva followed Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, and Aparigraha. And Mahavir added the 5th vow of Brahmacharya. These are the 5 vows, like I mentioned in the beginning. Okay, now Parshva is unique among all the 24 Tirthankaras because Parshva is always depicted with a cobra head, as if that cobra is protecting Parshva, who is sitting in eternal meditation. All Tirthankaras are always sitting in meditation, but only Parshva is shown with this cobra head. And many Jains would say, and probably it is mentioned in all Jain sources, that Mahavir's parents were born and they followed Parshva's lineage. So Parshva, whatever he taught, Mahavir's parents were born in that lineage, and so they followed that, and then Mahavir became an ascetic, and Mahavir added the fifth vow. So then it became Panch Mahavrat, the 5 great vows that Mahavir preached and practiced. All right, now Mahavir's time frame. Most likely from 519, there are always controversies about dates, but most likely most scholars would agree that Mahavir was born from 599 to 527 BCE or 510 BCE. So he lived for 72 years. That is unanimously accepted. But his dates might be little before the Buddha. Little before the Buddha, Mahavir was born. So few years he overlaps with the Buddha, same region, same time span, and same region of India and so on. Similar teachings also. But Mahavir was born as Vardhaman, and there's a town, like I mentioned, in West Bengal named after that word, Vardhaman. In Pashwa's lineage, in a warrior class, both Pashwa and Mahavir, born in warrior class, Kshatriya Kul, a class. Now, Jainism believes that Kshatriyas are a bit higher than Brahmins. So, even though his parents, his father was the king Siddharth, his mother's name was Trishula, and Mahavir marries, Shvetambars believe that Mahavir marries Princess Yashoda, and even they become even father of a daughter. Digambars don't accept that. Digambars say that he remained a celibate and he became an ascetic, and of course, and he attained moksha. He never marries. According to Digambar sect, Shvetambars believe that he had a wife, and then he renounces his wife and his family and his wealth and so on. All right, and but both sects agree that on his 30th birthday, when he turns 30, he becomes a monk. Mahavir becomes a monk. Mahavir becomes an ascetic as he turns 30. After 30, for 12.5 years, Mahavir practices ultimate forms of penance, ultimate forms of austerity. Out of 12.5 years, around 11 years, Mahavir went completely hungry, complete fasts, intermittent fasting. Most likely, Mahavir was the pioneer of intermittent fasting, inventor of intermittent fasting, if you want to use that word, because for those many years, for more than a decade, he would go complete fast. Then maybe 30th day, he will take some dates. He would take some dates or some lentils, water, and so on. Then again, long fast. Again, little bit food after a month or so. Like that, he practiced that intermittent fasting, and he set up the role model for all future Jains who all still are doing similar things in fasts and so on. Long fast, like I mentioned in the beginning, Mahavir was the pioneer. Then, after he attains his Keval Gyan at the age of 42.5, 30 he becomes a monk. 42.5 he attains Keval Gyan. Then he gives his first sermon, first pravachan, first discourse somewhere in Bihar, and the first 11 major disciples that he gathers were all from Brahmin Varnas. So what Jains are indirectly saying is, Mahavir himself was a Kshatriya, becomes a Tirthankar. Under the Tirthankar, the disciples are all Brahmins. So Kshatriya becomes the highest class in a sense, and Brahmins are under Kshatriya because Ganadharas, the leaders of his disciples are all Brahmins. Those are 11 Ganadharas. And then at the age of 72, he leaves his body, he attains his final moksha from Pavapuri in Bihar. Pavapuri is near Nalanda, the major university, which is coming up now in Bihar again. So, born in Vaishali, becomes a monk at the age of 30, attains Keval Gyan at 42.5. From 42.5 to 72, almost 30 years, he preaches and spreads his message of Panch Mahavratas, Ahimsa, Jainism in general. Becomes a great leader, great preacher. Jainism became some influential practice, influential philosophy across North India at least, but eventually across India and now across the world. Although very small minority, is still very influential philosophy. So that is Mahavira's short biography and short influence that I shared with you. All right. Now, these Tirthankaras, how do they get enlightenment? What do they preach? Let's take a look at that. All Tirthankaras, Jains believe, and even Buddhism also believes that the Buddha and all these Tirthankaras are born with special marks on their body. So there is some kind of a prophecy that this person will become a Tirthankara based on the marks on their body. Then other feature of these special people are that their mother sees 14 auspicious dreams just before they are born.
just like what happened to even to Jesus Christ and even to the Buddha. So similar things happened for all Jain Tirthankaras, including Mahavir. Then these Tirthankaras do more rigorous austerities. Mahavir is the shining example as a role model who goes to ultimate level of austerities, as we will see in the next slide, next presentation. What are the austerities that they do? Some special rigorous austerities they practice. Then when they achieve omniscience, Keval Gyan, in that moment they are not merging with any absolute, they are not merging with Brahman, which is happening in Hinduism. Here they are simply realizing their true self, and they realize the ultimate wisdom, they gain ultimate wisdom of the entire Jain universe, and they can see past, present and future of all the beings in the universe. That is what is happening in the time of omniscience in Jainism. And when they give their first sermon, first discourse, that is called as Samvatsaran, in which all the beings in the universe come to listen to them, and whatever they are preaching, all the beings in the universe can understand in their own respective languages. That is all is happening in Samvatsaran. Then Mahavir's some major disciples are Gautam, Sudharman, Jambu and others. Those are all Brahmins. So Jainism sort of turns the table, and Mahavir is coming from Kshatriya lineage, but his major disciples are all Brahmins. So that is what is happening in Mahavir's life.
And his teachings are all Tirthankara's teachings. What are those teachings? Non-violence to all beings and to oneself. No violence. No physical violence, no verbal violence, and no intellectual violence. Man, vachan and karma. Mind, speech and action. No violence. Asceticism is prerequisite to attain moksha. No householder can ever attain moksha in Jainism. In Hinduism, a householder can and does attain moksha. Not in Jainism. You have to become ascetic, you have to become monk or nun, you have to renounce your wealth and family. That is the only requirement to start your ascetic practices and to attain moksha. Self-reliance, like I said in the beginning, no reliance on any grace, no gods, no goddesses, no miracles and no grace, only your own effort, Shaman Dharma, so self-reliance. Deliverance, moksha as a state of non-violence and spiritually unconditioned state. So what happens in that state is your soul becomes absolutely pure, absolutely powerful, absolutely blissful, and that soul will retain that state forever. Most blissful, most powerful, most knowledgeable, omniscient, but will remain in that power forever in Siddhashila, the final frontier of the universe. That soul in that state is devoid of all karma particles, absolutely clean. No karma particles, no dust particles like karma stuck on that soul anymore after they attain moksha. And in some ways, it can be compared with Upanishads, because karma idea is in Upanishads also. The rebirth idea, rebirth is transcended, just like in Upanishads. And samsara is transcended, just like in Upanishads. So some overlaps you can find with Upanishads or even with Buddhism.